Ecclesiastes 8:1 through 9:12. Devotional focus verse: Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might, for there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave, whither thou goest. Ecclesiastes 9:10. In today's focus verse, Solomon challenged his hearers to work industriously, because once a person passes from this earth, there will be no more opportunity to do so. My father was one who modeled the counsel of that scripture. For as far back as I can remember, Dad was always busy with whatever tasks came his way, both in the work of the Lord and in helping individuals who had problems that a good mechanic could assist with. Did your furnace go out? My dad was the man to call. Your car not running right? Ask him to take a look at it. He'd probably be able to figure out the problem. Water heater leaking? Need input on an air conditioning system? Need duct work installed or some electrical work done in your branch church? It seems there were always needs, but I never remember Dad showing the slightest hesitation in undertaking a task for someone else. For years, we joked about Dad's job jar. It was kind of a byword around our house that if we had something that needed fixing or a project that was awaiting his attention, we should put a note in his job jar. If such a jar had actually existed, I'm certain it always would have been full. While there was no jar, he did carry a little notebook around in his front shirt pocket, so as needs were brought to his attention, he could make a note of them. Dad's work was not limited to mechanical challenges. He and my mom carried on a ministry among the seafaring men who visited our city. They invited the men to church, to our home, on picnics, and on countless outings around our area. Dad kept meticulous records of the men he met, and he took literally thousands of photographs, which he later mailed to the seafaring men's homes as memories of their visits. He also faithfully shared a portion of his testimony with people whose lives intersected with his. Even in his final months in a bedridden condition, he often would think of individuals he had known years before and would ask me to mail them a printed account telling of a time in his life when God had worked miraculously in his behalf. Solomon's words in our focus verse make me think of Annie Coghill's old hymn, "Work for the night is coming, when man's work is o'er." Dad was one who lived by that perspective, and it can be our way of living as well. Let's make sure that we apply ourselves wholeheartedly to every task God gives us. We want to live and work with eternity in view. Background information. Chapters 8 and 9 of Ecclesiastes continue Solomon's practical applications on the theme of ultimate profit. Chapter 8 addresses submission to authority and conveys the thought that although the wicked appear to prosper, judgment comes to all, and in the end it will be well with those who fear God. In verses 1 through 6, the author advises obedience when serving under an autocratic ruler. Verse 1 may have been a familiar proverb at that time, implying that a man's wisdom would light up his face and change his countenance. The oath of God in verse 2 possibly alludes to the oath of loyalty to the king. Verses 3 and 4 advise against rashness in one's dealings with the king, stating that it is unwise to question his authority. Verses 5 and 6 indicate that submission will keep one from being chastised, and the wise will consider that. In the course of time, judgment will be rendered to everyone. In verses 7 through 9, Solomon pointed out that life sometimes does not offer options. Man does not possess the ability to predict the future or the day of his death. Just as it is not feasible for a soldier to be discharged in time of war, it is not possible for one to avoid wickedness if his heart is evil. The author's observation was that rulers at times govern in a way that warrants God's judgment against them. The implication in verse 10 is that although wicked rulers are allowed to govern in spite of their abuse of power, they eventually die and are soon forgotten. Verses 11 through 13 point out that when judgment is delayed, wicked individuals continue to sin without fear of punishment. The author reasoned that those who fear God and reject evil will be the benefactors of God's favor. On the other hand, the days of the wicked are as a shadow, and it will not be well with them in the end. In verses 14 and 15, the author wrestled with the concept that the righteous sometimes suffer, while the wicked appear to prosper. He concluded that the best one can do is to live and enjoy life to the fullest during the time God gives on earth. In verses 16 and 17, Solomon surmised that even if one searched day and night, man's earthly wisdom can never comprehend the purposes of God. The text in chapter 9 indicates that since death happens to everyone, whether righteous or wicked, a man should make the best of the life he has. Verse 1 of chapter 9 indicates that the righteous and wise are in God's hands. An outward manifestation of a person's work is not indicative of how that one will be received by God when he dies. Verses 2 and 3 state that death comes to all, regardless of whether they are righteous or evil. In verses 4 through 6, the author emphasizes that life is better than death because there is hope. The living know that their day of death is coming and can adjust their choices accordingly. However, the dead are soon forgotten and can no longer experience either life's rewards or adversities. In verses 7 through 10, Solomon gave his philosophy of life. Enjoy life while you can. Bread and wine were common elements of a meal at that time, and the implication was that God approved of man's enjoyment of life. Wearing white garments for feasts and pouring oil on men's heads during celebratory events were customary symbols of pleasure. The author also urged man to live happily with his wife for the duration of his fleeting life, because that is the reward for his labor. His conclusion was that one should give his best to every endeavor during his lifetime, before death destroys all opportunity for achievement. The inference in verses 11 and 12 is that man's fate is not determined by his strength, wisdom, or wealth, since the passage of time and misfortune comes to all. Just as fish and birds are caught unaware at a time of their entrapment, man is unable to foresee when adversity might come his way. Conclusion: our opportunities for service to God and others will end at the grave. So let us purpose to give our very best efforts to whatever we have opportunity and ability to do.
Ecclesiastes Chapter 8. Who is as the wise man? And who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. I counsel thee to keep the king's commandment, and that in regard of the oath of God. Be not hasty to go out of his sight, stand not in an evil thing, for he doeth whatsoever pleaseth him. Where the word of a king is, there is power, and who may say unto him, What doest thou? Whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. Because to every purpose there is time and judgment, therefore the misery of man is great upon him. For he knoweth not that which shall be, for who can tell him when it shall be? There is no man that hath power over the spirit to retain the spirit, neither hath he power in the day of death, and there is no discharge in that war, neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it. All this have I seen, and applied my heart unto every work that is done under the sun. There is a time wherein one man ruleth over another to his own hurt. And so I saw the wicked buried, who had come and gone from the place of the holy, and they were forgotten in the city where they had so done. This is also vanity. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, which fear before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not before God. There is a vanity which is done upon the earth, that there be just men, unto whom it happeneth according to the work of the wicked. Again, there be wicked men, to whom it happeneth according to the work of the righteous. I said that this also is vanity. Then I commended mirth, because a man hath no better thing under the sun, than to eat, and to drink, and to be merry, for that shall abide with him of his labor the days of his life, which God giveth him under the sun. When I applied mine heart to know wisdom, and to see the business that is done upon the earth, for also there is that neither day nor night seeth sleep with his eyes. Then I beheld all the work of God, that a man cannot find out the work that is done under the sun, because though a man labor to seek it out, yet he shall not find it, yea farther, though a wise man think to know it, yet shall he not be able to find it. Ecclesiastes. Chapter 9. For all this I considered in my heart even to declare all this, that the righteous, and the wise, and their works, are in the hand of God. No man knoweth either love or hatred by all that is before them. All things come alike to all, there is one event to the righteous, and to the wicked, to the good and to the clean, and to the unclean, to him that sacrificeth, and to him that sacrificeth not, as is the good, so is the sinner, and he that sweareth, as he that feareth an oath. This is an evil among all things that are done under the sun, that there is one event unto all, yea, also the heart of the sons of men is full of evil, and madness is in their heart while they live, and after that they go to the dead. For to him that is joined to all the living there is hope, for a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything, neither have they any more or reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Also their love, and their hatred, and their envy, is now perished, neither have they any more portion forever in anything that is done under the sun. Go thy way, eat thy bread with joy, and drink thy wine with a merry heart, for God now accepteth thy works. Let thy garments be always white, and let thy head lack no ointment. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of the life of thy vanity, which he hath given thee under the sun, all the days of thy vanity, for that is thy portion in this life, and in thy labor which thou takest under the sun. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might, for there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom, in the grave, whither thou goest. I returned, and saw under the sun, that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them.